Welcome to the Farmers Risk Podcast. I have the pleasure of sitting down with JC Hoyt, the Senior Product Manager at Farmers Risk. Let's jump into it. JC, thanks for joining today. It's great to have you both on this podcast and also as a newer employee at Farmers Risk. I think we're recording this on February 3rd. And is this your 1 month anniversary? Did you start January 3rd?
That, yeah.
Now that you're new at Farmers Risk, obviously I know what your role at the company is. You've been in. It's been great to be your colleague thus far. Can you tell everybody a little bit more about what you do and what your role here is?
Yeah, as a senior product manager, product owner, I think is my role here. But it's actually to work with our prospect, our customers, and kind of flush out what the users want out of our platform, and then be able to help build that into our platform to help with adding insights would be one thing. Another thing would be decision support in the whole process of how do I do risk management? Henceforth our name, Farmers Risk.
Before we dive into more tactical questions about Farmers Risk, I kind of want to go over a little bit about your background, because obviously you have a wealth of experience in different companies in the ag industry. Starting out with, you were a broker, you've worked on the cash bid data side of things, you've been with Indigo, et cetera. Can you just give us kind of a quick pitch of a little bit about your background?
Oh, sure. I'm happy to be at Farmers Risk here. It's been a joy to be here. My background is, I grew up milking cows in Northeast Iowa, so farm boy, true and true. Got an ag degree from Iowa State and been fortunate that I've been working in agriculture my whole career with my degree, actually in commodities and economics is what my degree is in. And so I've been a licensed commodity broker most of my career. Started off with Pioneer Hybrid doing such, as far as decision support with seed farmers with Pioneer Hybrid. And then, as you said, with cash bids, being able to help build the databases out for cash bids across the country. Been with a couple startup companies such as Indigo, and then Greenbridge, which is now part of Bushel, and then now here. But predominantly my whole career has been figuring out how to bundle products and services together that deal with risk management that goes to producers and the companies that work with producers. So either with the companies or the producers themselves, dealing with that aspect. So my whole career has been pretty much in that kind of suite of things.
When did you know that you wanted to work in ag? Was it kind of like you came out of the womb and you said, "Oh my gosh, here I am on a farm. I'm in Iowa. There's no other industry," or was it a moment?
No, for me, it's just growing up and as a farm boy and having the opportunity to get the ag degree was a don't-brainer. I've always just wanted to continue that journey to stay in agriculture.
Cool. And I'm going to actually just share my screen of kind of what Farmers looks like today. Mm-hmm. But would definitely love to get your feedback on, where you see the product going today, but then based on some of the phone calls that you and I have been a part of with customers and beta trial users and all that good stuff, what excites you and where you see this product moving forward? Because I think right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, this product is great. It shows a lot of good information. But I think you're interested in getting into a few different charts to help display this information versus maybe just some recording of the transactions and all that stuff that we see in the app today.
Yeah, correct. We very good information that we already have in our platform as far as that goes. We've had great feedback on the calls that you and I have been on so far of what our current platform is, of being able to provide usefulness to our users, our farmers. We want to just take it to that next level of providing insights and do it in a very user-friendly format. So, this is where you think about, other parts of your life that you can digitize or get on an app and do something type thing, whether I'm going to Target and shopping or something of that nature, is that we should have that same kind of user format and flexibility here. And we saw Robinhood as an example in the financial industry kind of change the paradigm of how easy it is to gamify trading that way. So in essence, we want to kind of do a gamification here and provide charts in easy formats. And so I view it as our platform should be able to have a user just come into it and be able to say, hey, what are my tasks today? What do I need to be doing today? Do I need to make some deliveries? Do I need to make some marketing? Where's the market at? How does it affect me? All these kind of things. And just bring it all into a very insightful and decision-making easy step process in that way.
Cool. And I know you got some charts and graphs as well. If you want to share those.
Well, yeah, we can get in a little bit here. What I'm going to show you, let me share my screen here, is I just have some here we'll just look at corn and soybeans for right now. And we'll just market here of old crop and new crop of what we're seeing here. So what I'm showing here is old crop, current corn. I just grabbed this from the Chicago Board of Trade here today, for example, to show you, so this is someone, that's got old crop that they're working with. And Nick, you've already talked to our guys like I do, is, a producer. They're not just doing old crop marketing, they're doing new crop as well. So they're doing both at the same time. And both of those have different solutions and different things that they're working with. Old crop, you already know what it is. You already have the costs and all that kind of stuff. And so you're in essence trying to figure out, well, how long do I keep it? And, what else you're trying to do with it, whether it's, for whatever reasons that you're doing it with. And then new crop is, when should I start doing it? And how do I start doing it? And stuff like that. And so we'll break it down a little bit, both of those here. So here's old crop situation. The market's been taking off since the first of the year here. We're getting here. However, we're still not quite back up to the old, pre-harvest high type thing. And this green line represents harvest. And so this is where you get into pre-harvest marketing and post-harvest marketing. And we want to break it up and help people understand that, maybe you're going to make more, probably for the most part, with crop insurance, being able to benefit on the pre-harvest, so get more aggressive on your pre-harvest marketing than you would on the post-harvest. So post-harvest takes a slightly different approach. Type thing, but we want to be able to benchmark it and show that. And that's where I have the top third, middle third, and bottom third of the market displayed here as well, just to give you reference as indicator lines to let you know here. And in the future, we'll probably add a line here as well that says, here's your break even, so you kind of have a benchmark of knowing where those are.
I'd be curious to get your opinion. I mean, obviously you read some different publications from extensions, et cetera, and it kind of says, hey, as long as you know your cost of production, that break-even number you just mentioned, and you feel like you're making a margin on there, or a decent margin, you should take action. You should take some of those poker chips off the table, if you will. I think there's some hesitation probably in the industry in regards to, they hear, like, we're, again, February 3rd, we're currently dealing with, you hear the Brazilian crop, you hear maybe war in Russia and Ukraine that'll affect the wheat market. Like, how do you balance out not overhearing a lot of information and trying to just almost keep it simple, in lack of a better term, and just say, hey, if you're making money, take some off the table right now and move forward?
Yep. And so let's get into new crop here as well, here on the corn, and answer some of those questions. There's always going to be outside what I call static or noise that's out there. And that's where it is important to have a good understanding of, quote unquote, your break evens, or what's known as your numbers, and how you do your business. And these guys they're good about their crop rotation. They're good about understanding their budgets and stuff like that. In fact, every time I talk to a producer, then Nick, they'll say, JC, there's only two ways to make money in this. It's either reduce my cost or increase my yield, kind of thing. And that's where a lot of this blueprint really, around that whole formula. And we know that. And so this gets into what I call how can we help you know when to sell? You already know where you're going to sell it to, because you know that more likely it's an end processor in your area that has the best prices. So let us then try to help in that process of not only the when to sell it, so timing, and then it's how to sell it, meaning like which tools at the right time. And then the other would be like what to sell. I mean, is it corn today or soybeans, kind of thing in this example. So it's going through the whole process of the when, the how, and the what kind of thing. So on new crop, let's look at that one. Like you already mentioned here, we got energy prices going up to almost $90 here. We got international news. You talked about it, the Olympics starting, soon here today. And as you mentioned, the groundhog just happened. We got 6 more weeks of winter here. I
think there was actually some contradicting reports amongst the groundhogs. Now I'm in Illinois, so Woodstock Willie, I think, said it's summer sooner, but I think in New York, they said there was some conflicting groundhog information.
See right there, right? Even that, the weather is a variable like that. And however, you want to take out as much of this static as possible. So by knowing the numbers, and that's why I have these indicator lines here, is that currently right now for new crop, if you're trying to do some of those marketings, and if these prices near $6 are actually pretty good for you, which they are. I mean, not only you're in the top third of the market here, you're in the very top of the market here. Why wouldn't you want to be aggressive to at least do something to cover? And of course, this gets into, I don't feel comfortable unless I already have it. Well, this gets into maybe that comfort zone needs to be a little strengthened with other tools such as crop insurance to reinforce that you can do these kind of things. So we want to be able to just give you that confidence and insights in a very user-friendly format, which is the graphs here, to be able to give you that ability of saying, you know what, let's put some percentage on here. Once you do that, we could put a dot on the map here on the chart to indicate this is when and where and what you were doing at that point in time. Make some notes and saying, hey, this is why I did what I did, type of thing. And keep in mind, we're going to keep adding on to this every day so that you can come back and do, and look at this thing. The other goal is to look at it as what I call back testing. And so at the end of the year, you can come back in and reevaluate and say, could have I done it better? And if so, how?
Well, how many folks do you think in the end that you've talked to from your years of experience or growers actually do back testing and kind of look back? I mean, it's easy to remember that one trade that went really well, or those two trades or one trade that went really, really bad. Mm-hmm. But I don't think we, like you said, have it detailed out with multiple notes saying, oh, actually, you know what? I didn't sell it at the exact high last year, but I did pretty well.
Some do, but more of it's like you said, this is where I won some, this is where I lost some, and they don't really keep track of it all together, so to speak. And that's I think it's helpful to be able to present the whole thing, the whole diagnostics of that picture, to be able to kind of give you that confidence of, hey, you know what, year after year, maybe we should do a little bit more percentage of selling in the pre-harvest maybe than in the post-harvest type thing. And just changing that percentage, maybe 10%, is a huge, dollar difference in your bottom line.
I'd be curious to know, since we're talking about new crop information right now, like if you were to go into Farmers Risk on the dashboard, we are going to assume the bushels you have available to market is your acres times your APH. Obviously, there is that crop insurance piece in there. How do you envision kind of showing folks in our app or in a chart, what would be your ideal state of showing, hey, here's where that crop insurance line is. Here's where you can kind of market to up, until August or September when you're really confident, or maybe even started harvesting already.
We have some rough graphs in mind with that, but we're going to be testing those with some users that we're going to be talking to really kind of fine tune that whole thing, but more or less graphically to be able to kind of illustrate that whole thing.
Cool. So
and soybeans, I could show. Let's talk about, since we're talking corn, let's just talk about soybeans here. That's the big mover. Old crop soybeans here, just in the last. Just a month here. So since January 1 till today, we've gone up over $2 in the old crop soybeans. And that's what you're looking at here. We've just taken out the pre-harvest high on soybeans for this, March contract here. So if you're already planning to store your beans and then, go into that springtime period on that March futures, back in the day type thing, just to give you an idea, you just recently taken out the old pre-harvest highs. And so we've gone up, like I said, over $2, $2.09 if I do my math right here, since the close on the 1st of January. So that's a big move, short period of time here. Now, the other side of it is that, this contract for March expires in roughly 3 weeks, around the 23rd or so of February. And so you're kind of on a time period here of, what do I do? And those kind of decisions that you have to look at.
And how common is kind of having the post-market high higher than the pre-market high? It seems like the rule of thumb's 9 out of 10 years pre is going to be higher.
Usually for the market, it's rare for a market to do this, to be able to get the pre-harvest or the post-harvest to be higher than the pre-harvest. type thing. I'm actually doing some research on that to kind of quantify it. For the last 10 years, I don't have those numbers right now, but I do know, through my experiences, it's not too often that happens. But keep in mind, we're coming off an inverse market. Like you already talked about, we have all these international news going on, South America weather. We have the oil market doing what it's doing. We have all these other things going on in the market. The daily trading limit here on soybeans is, almost $1 that you're running at. And so this market can go way rather quickly. So you're getting the hedge funds coming in here. But soybeans is 90 cents for the daily trading limit. And so big moves can happen real quickly in these markets. And that's what we're seeing with outside money coming into this thing for this whole crop soybeans.
Cool. And yeah, that kind of gets back to it. And maybe it's a question for another time. It's kind of like, I think it's so easy for growers to get overwhelmed. I mean, I get overwhelmed just even if I'm looking at, buying a Robinhood share, because there's so much information out there. You can search the internet and get confirmation bias one way or another. Like we mentioned, you got Russia, you got funds coming in. I think sometimes just being able to slow this down and look just at a graph and know your break even and know, again, like we see here, bottom third, middle third, and top third, and kind of where you can make money. I wouldn't say simplifies it, but makes it a little bit more, puts it into context, and it doesn't feel like the flood of information is just constantly coming in.
Yeah, same thing on new crop here in soybeans. We don't have obviously the harvest line in here like you do on old crop, but once again, you're up $1.30 here on new crop, and if your numbers if you're confident year over year what you could do for putting in a crop, which most guys are, they're pretty good about managing all those kind of things. And granted, input costs are kind of that variable that we're running into right now, but still knowing if you could make your margins here, it'll just gives you the confidence, we hope, to be able to illustrate it this way, to say, hey, it's okay to do these kind of things. Other tools that we want to be able to add in here for, that insights and decision-making process is, what tools work in the top third of the market, which ones work in the bottom third of the market, which ones, can be used in all three parts of the market type thing. So for example, traditionally, if you're in the top part of the market is where you do like a hedge to arrive type contract. If you're in the cash marketplace, the bottom part of the market is usually traditionally when you do a basis contract, just as a comparison.
So if we were looking at this, let's say we had this graph in the farmer's risk gap right now, it looks like you've already kind of thought about, hey, here's some tidbits or notes that might expand if you hover over it, saying here, now that we're in this part of the market, these are typical actions folks will take based on this kind of data. I'd be interested if we're looking through just a growing season, what kind of information you might be interested in putting additionally in this graph. I mean, we already kind of mentioned, hey, here's your line for where your crop insurance limit is up to. What if folks were, say, buying a call or buying a put or selling, how would you represent that on some of these graphs?
Sure. So for something like that, we would have like a starting point of saying this is where you bought your option, for example, and then we start helping you track that, and then also chart the option as well.
Okay. And I know you have a little bit of broker experience as well. How do you see folks doing that in the industry today? Mapping that out and charging it out? Is it primarily Excel? Is it?
Yeah, most of it is going to be in Excel and not visually very well as well, type thing. Yeah, it's you're taking a very intangible instrument, futures and options, and trying to make it tangible. And so it's bringing those markets together. They call them mark to the market every day, and then showing that graphically. The numbers you could do through Excel, but then we want to take those numbers out of Excel and actually bring them into a visual chart to help.
Cool. I'd be interested to know, if we were kind of looking at harder timelines and what folks might be able to expect that are in the app today versus 6 months out, 12 months out, 18 months out. We always kind of like to do at one of my older companies saying, let's pretend if we had a magic wand. Let's say we had a magic wand and resources and engineers and different problems that come up and cause delays didn't happen. Where do you see this app going? Because that really, that's the role of the product manager, is kind of course the roadmap.
Briefly mentioned before is providing that insights that, the data should be we're at a point in our lives right now, in every parts of our lives, with smartphones and different things that we're doing right now. And there's a lot of data out there in agriculture in general. Precision ag is everywhere type thing. So to be able to aggregate that stuff and then be able to regurgitate it back out in a very user-friendly format of saying, hey, this is where you're at today in the markets, and just present it so that it's just quick and easy and digestible. Not every day you want to have to, do something, but every day you want to be able to at least track it. So the way I explain it to people in their, whether their 401k or whatever they're doing is that, you don't rebalance your portfolio every month before the jobs reports comes out. You probably just rebalance it, maybe once a year, but you do definitely watch it, when those jobs reports comes out or other things come out to be able to say, well, how did it react to me? And then do I need to do something? So in essence, it's that same thing. We already know through our data and our usage is that, producers look at cash prices and future prices, more than daily, a couple times a day. And so it's being able to take that information and then be able to present it to them and saying, what's that mean to me? So that gets back into maybe my unsold bushels, because that's what you're tracking is your unsold bushels on old crop. How is it affecting me type thing? Because once it's already sold, we already know that's already done and over with. Now you just need to deliver it and do those kind of things. But making those marketing decisions, it's all about what's remaining left and how does it affect my portfolio and balancing it. And then showing that in a format that's very quick and easy to digest.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I mean, I love using the example with folks, kind of like, we want to be maybe a Robinhood like platform for the grower in mind, and not from a Robinhood perspective of how they completely gamified with confetti and encouraging just trades for trade's sakes. And there's some negative press on that front, but it is pretty amazing when folks, maybe remember logging into an E-Trade account or a TD Ameritrade account. And those have very user-friendly experiences. But whenever you kind of touched on futures and options or options in those accounts, it was kind of an information overload. Which I love about Robinhood is it's literally click, okay, what do you think's going to happen? Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? Oh, here's the things you can do if you think it's going to go up. And you can take action. And it's very, it kind of removes a lot of barriers. Like there's definitely this, it is just personal from like just stocks and bonds. It removes some of the apprehension of like, oh gosh, sometimes when you see these huge trading platforms and all this other stuff with just almost information overload, it can cause a little bit of anxiety and almost hesitation. So I can't wait for our trade feature to roll out and hopefully see what it looks like.
Yeah, you want to be able to give those users the confidence, we're educating them. That's part of the process here is to educate in the process to make sure you understand which tools to use at the right time type thing. And so if you're bullish the market, you want to go with the market going up, what tools to use.
It was great to be joined by JC today. We'll definitely have him on more future podcasts as we continue to roll out features here at Farmers Risk. It'll be great to get his opinion. For updates on new features and new podcasts, don't hesitate to follow us on social.